First of all, thank you, Sherry and Janet, for your interesting presentations. And thank you to NEDIC for inviting me to be part of this webinar. I will keep to my time, which will bring me to 1:28. So the first thing I would like to just comment on very briefly, Janet, just as an aside before I get into the meat of my presentation, is you mentioning the interest in size diversity in Quebec. Of course, I am a Quebecer, and I just want to comment that the cultures have always been different. Moving to English Canada 15 years ago, I was very struck by how thinness is so emphasized here, and where really larger people are kind of excluded from what would be considered beautiful, which was really never so prevalent in my culture. And I'm kind of proud of this. This being said, yes, I will speak up a little louder. Sorry, I'm looking at my messages here. Do let me know if I'm still not speaking loud enough. I will start my presentation by talking about the connection between self-esteem, the media, and body satisfaction. Can you hear me? Okay. I'm talking as loud as I can now with all my volumes at the maximum. So please tell me if this is better. Okay, I will keep doing the presentation. Okay, good. I'm glad that you can hear me well. So the first thing I want to do is situate my talk a little bit. So what I looked at is the connection between self-esteem and the effect of the media on women. And I looked at it in two ways. I looked at how self-esteem can be either a protective or a vulnerability factor towards the media. And I also looked at how the media can affect self-esteem. So first I'm going to define the self-esteem I'm talking about here. Here I am talking about global trait self-esteem, which is how people feel about themselves in a global way. So this refers to how people assess their value in all domains of their lives. So that can be as a friend, a partner, a professional, or just in general thinking that they're bright enough, capable enough, so on and so forth. And by body image, what I will be talking about today is body image satisfaction. And by the media, I will talk about either magazine or television. So we know from a recent meta-analysis of all of the research on the effect of the media on women's body satisfaction that the media has a moderate effect, moderate to negative effect on body image satisfaction, which is that it moderately negatively affects women. However, what is important to understand when we talk about research this way is that there's a number of factors that can have an impact on this dissatisfaction. So if we survey the global literature and find an overall moderate effect, that does not mean that everybody is moderately affected. It's a statistical average. This means that some people may be very affected and some people may be not affected at all. And some people may show a paradoxical effect and report feeling better about themselves after viewing in media. Now, of course, this is very intriguing and points directly to what are the individual differences that would lead people um, to feeling in all these different ways about the media or after exposure to the thin media. Of course, when I talk about the thin media, understand that I'm talking about magazine, television images, featuring images of very thin models, thin actresses, thin women, and so on. So the first question is, does the thin media reduce global self-esteem, or thin media reduce global self-esteem? Several studies say no. I see I have some private questions here. I will return to those later. Several studies say no. Um, um, that, in other words, women's global sense of their self-worth in all of the levels that I've described before, being overall a person of worth, is not necessarily negatively impacted by the thin media. However, one study interestingly looked at the effect of plastic surgery programs on women's self-esteem and found a negative effect on global self-esteem, but only in women who endorse the thin ideal. And by that we mean women who uh, say, yes, the thin ideal is important. I'm running out of time. The other thing that we can see from the literature is whether self-esteem, high or low, can have a moderating effect on how the media affect women. And we find that women with higher self-esteem are protected. That means that they're the ones who are the least likely to end up feeling dissatisfied about their appearance after exposure to the thin media.